Hello everyone, welcome back to Ace Wisdom. They didn't expect you to actually stop, not really. Not you, the one who used to over-explain, over-apologize, over-analyze every little mood shift, every unread message, every delay in their reply. They were counting on your emotions being louder than your boundaries. They thought your love would stay louder than your silence. They were betting on the version of you that couldn't sit with uncertainty, the version of you that would rather beg for breadcrumbs than walk away from the table. Because silence, to them, silence used to mean you were regrouping, rehearsing another speech, planning a comeback, or crafting some message to spark their attention. But not this time. This silence is different. This time you've gone calm, not cold, not bitter, calm. And that calm, that grounded, rooted, unbothered calm, it's not confusion, it's clarity, it's not punishment, it's power, it's not manipulation, it's mastery. And trust me, your avoidant ex feels that shift. Because avoidants don't spiral when you're chasing them. They spiral when you stop. They spiral when your chaos ends, because that's when theirs begins. They spiral when they no longer know where they stand in your world. And here's why. Their power, however shallow, depended on your performance. The performance of the pursuer, the fixer, the one who always cared just a little more. But now, you're not reaching out. You're not asking if they're okay. You're not throwing emotional lifelines to someone who let go of the rope months ago. You've stopped explaining your worth to someone who refused to see it. And for the first time, they are left alone with the one thing they fear most, your peace. Let's not get it twisted. Your calm isn't a trick. It's not some fake glow-up to get their attention. It's not a passive-aggressive silence meant to guilt-trip them. No, your calm is the natural result of coming home to yourself. It's what happens when your self-worth stops orbiting someone else's inconsistency. And that is where the spiral begins. Because avoidants don't panic when you fight for them. They panic when they realize you won't anymore. Your detachment isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And clarity terrifies people who thrive in confusion. You're no longer the emotional first responder to their dysfunction, no longer the source of comfort they didn't want but expected. You're no longer fueling the loop, and that rattles them deeply. They built a whole identity around being hard to reach, not ready, or emotionally unavailable. But now they're watching you embody the same detachment they used to weaponize. Only this time, you're doing it better. You're not cold. You're collected. You're not playing games. You're protecting peace. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And that's exactly what you've done. You've let go of the illusion that their validation would finally make you feel whole. You stopped trying to control how they interpret your worth. You no longer need their emotional permission to move on. And now, without your energy to orbit around, they're left with the one thing they've spent years avoiding, themselves. No one to project on, no one to blame, no one to come clean up the emotional mess. And it's in that space, your silence, that the spiral begins. Not because you hurt them, but because your healing exposes theirs. Because your stillness reflects their instability. You've become the mirror they've avoided their entire life, a mirror that doesn't scream or beg, just stands still and reflects the one thing they hate the most: truth. And that truth is deafening. If you've been watching Volume 4 from the start, episodes 1 through 11, then you already know every phase of letting go is a spiritual test, a test of your ego, your discipline, your ability to not respond when everything inside you is screaming to react. And now we step into episode 12, the unraveling, the moment where your calm becomes the thing that causes them to fall apart. because this isn't about regrets anymore. This is about the psychological tailspin they enter when they realize you're not faking it. You're not pretending to move on. You're not hoping they text back. You're not rehearsing your next message. You're just done. You've stopped waiting for their love to make you feel worthy. And that terrifies them. Because as long as you were the anxious one, they felt secure. But the moment you stood still, the moment you turned your energy inward, their mind started racing. Who are they talking to now? Why haven't they checked in? What if they're really moving on? And that spiral, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, slow, psychological, and worst of all, it's permanent. So before we break down exactly what that spiral looks like, how it starts, how it shows, and why it intensifies with every passing day of your silence, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who's been locked in since the beginning of Volume 4. You've stayed focused, you've shown up, and you've started transforming. So if this series has been speaking to you, if you've seen yourself getting stronger, quieter, calmer with each episode, here's what I want you to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single moment of Volume 4, and join our channel membership, link in the description, for exclusive content, private Q&As, and to help us keep producing this level of content for you every week. Now, before we dive into today's key breakdown, comment this mantra below right now. My calm is their chaos. Say it with conviction. Say it to affirm your evolution. Say it to remind yourself you didn't lose them. They lost access to the most devoted version of you, and they'll never meet that version again. And here's your challenge. The first person to spot and comment the secret mantra in key point 4 later in this episode, you'll get pinned. So stay alert, watch closely, and let's go deep. Volume 4, Episode 12, begins now. Stay focused. Key point 1. Your emotional silence triggers their internal alarm system. The first thing that happens when you go calm, they panic, but not outwardly, not with texts, not with calls, not even with a dramatic apology. No, the panic doesn't start on the outside. It starts internally. It starts in the psychological space they never wanted to occupy. Silence, and not just any silence, your silence. See, avoidants aren't afraid of conflict, they're afraid of emotional intimacy, but what truly unsettles them isn't an argument. It's when there's nothing. No chasing, no checking in, no reactions to their stories, no more wondering if you're still around. Suddenly, that silence becomes too loud to ignore. To someone with an avoidant attachment style, your calm isn't interpreted as strength, it's interpreted as disconnection. And that disconnection, it breaks the emotional contract they were secretly depending on. As long as I pull away, I know you'll still be there. But now, you're not. You're not trying to fix it. You're not rushing in to soothe their distance. You're not trying to understand the behavior they refuse to explain. You've removed your emotional availability, and in its place, you've left emptiness, a void they were never prepared to manage. Here's what you need to understand. Most avoidants have internalized shame around vulnerability. They were conditioned, consciously or subconsciously, to believe that closeness equals danger. So they push away connection before it gets too deep. But paradoxically, they also crave that connection they reject. They don't want to be fully alone. They just want to feel in control of when and how they connect. But when you go quiet, that control evaporates. It's no longer on their terms. It's no longer safe. Suddenly, they're left wondering, why aren't they chasing? Have they moved on? Did I overplay my distance? Are they really done with me? This is where the spiral begins. Because your silence doesn't just trigger curiosity, it triggers unresolved insecurity. They might not show it, They might look calm on the outside, might post selfies, nights out, vacation stories, might even flirt with someone new, but make no mistake. Inside, they're checking your profile. They're revisiting old messages. They're obsessing over the last time they felt your energy. They're trying to figure out when the shift happened and how they missed it. That internal panic is subtle, but constant, because your calm signals something they never expected. You're no longer emotionally accessible, and emotional unavailability is their game, not yours. The moment you master calm detachment, you flip the script. You become the person who's hard to read, the one they can't predict, the one who isn't responding on cue anymore. And to someone with avoidant tendencies, that's terrifying, because without your consistent emotional supply, they don't know how to regulate their own feelings. They've outsourced stability to your instability. They felt safe as long as you were the one reacting, the one unraveling, the one needing answers. But now you're no longer giving them what they expect. No more reassurance, no more explanations, no more emotionally charged check-ins. You've gone quiet, and that quiet. That's the first domino in their psychological spiral, because it doesn't just say, "I'm calm," it screams, "You don't get access to me anymore." And once that message lands, everything they suppressed, everything they ran from, starts creeping back in. The ghosts, the guilt, the realization that they may have pushed away someone who wasn't coming back this time. Key point 2. The illusion of control starts to collapse. Let's get something straight. Avoidants don't fall apart when you chase them. They fall apart when they realize they've lost control of the dynamic. And that realization, it doesn't hit all at once. It cracks, slowly, painfully, because avoidant individuals live in a world where distance equals power, where the one who cares less wins, where pulling away first is their version of protection. They don't run to hurt you. They run to protect themselves from feeling out of control. But here's the twist. Your calm destroys that illusion. Your emotional stillness, it's not passive, it's strategic. It's not about making them miss you. It's about reclaiming your power and reminding them they no longer have any over you. And that's when the spiral kicks up a level, because now they're no longer thinking, "Will they message me?" They're wondering, "Wait, did I lose them?" Your silence steals their illusion of superiority. Your peace shatters the comfort of thinking they could return whenever they wanted. For the first time in this story, they don't have the upper hand. You do. Because control, to an avoidant, doesn't just mean having space. It means having emotional leverage. They got used to setting the tempo of the relationship. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Hot 1 week, cold the next. They knew you'd adapt. You always did. Until now. Now you've stopped dancing to the rhythm they designed. Now you've broken the cycle. Now the game they've always relied on doesn't work anymore. That's not just unsettling, that's terrifying. Because the illusion of control was never about you. It was about them feeling safe in a world they can't emotionally regulate. And when that illusion collapses, it leaves a void. Here's where the real spiral begins. When they start to feel something they don't know how to handle, powerlessness, not just over the relationship, but over themselves. They might try to overcompensate, act like they're fine, keep posting, keep dating, keep pretending. But inside, they're scrambling to restore order to a system they no longer control. And that's the part that most people never see. They assume the avoidant ex moved on. But the truth? Most of them are still stuck in their own prison of emotional confusion. They don't understand why your silence hurts so much, because they've spent their whole lives trying to avoid that very pain. But now the detachment is mutual, and mutual detachment is their worst nightmare. It removes their ability to predict. It removes their ability to return when it's convenient. It removes their grip. That's why your calm is such a threat, Because the moment you go emotionally neutral, they realize they no longer have access to the old version of you, and worse, they can't get you back the same way anymore. The scripts they've used, the delayed "I miss you" texts, the vague stories meant to provoke a reaction, the breadcrumb trail to keep you emotionally hooked. None of it works. Because you've evolved, you've stopped needing closure, you've stopped needing validation, you've stopped needing them. And that's what breaks the illusion completely. Not your anger, not your confrontation, not your tears, your calm. That calm is a signal. I no longer need you to choose me, I chose myself. And once they feel that, their spiral isn't just emotional, it's existential. Because the power they thought they had over you was the only thing that made them feel safe, and now it's gone. Key point 3. The rebound doesn't satisfy and starts to backfire. So let's talk about what often comes next in their spiral. The rebound, you know the move. Just weeks, sometimes days, after your connection fizzles out, they're suddenly talking to someone new, posting those coffee shop selfies, suddenly so happy, out at parties, tagging random people, projecting, "I'm living my best life." But let's be honest here, that's not healing, that's hiding. The rebound isn't about you. It's not even about them being ready to love again. It's about distraction. A temporary numbing of the discomfort they're now sitting in, because when your calm hits, it forces them to feel the emotional emptiness they've always tried to ignore. And most avoidant types, they don't have the tools to sit with that void, so what do? They replace the person, to avoid replacing the pattern. But the thing is, your energy isn't easy to replicate. The connection you had wasn't shallow. You weren't just a warm body or an ego boost. You were emotionally present. You gave, you cared, and you were constant. So when they try to plug someone else into that emotional space, it doesn't click. Not because the new person isn't attractive or fun, but because it lacks the depth. Avoidants crave novelty until it gets real. And when you go calm and stop responding, that rebound is supposed to serve a purpose. Let me prove to myself I didn't lose anything. Let me show the world I'm fine. Let me avoid the part where I have to take responsibility. But instead, the rebound becomes a mirror. Because the new person isn't you. They don't know the inside jokes. They don't have the history. They don't give them the emotional chase they're used to. They either chase the avoidant back, which kills the excitement, or they set healthy boundaries, which makes the avoidant feel cornered. Either way, it doesn't satisfy, it backfires. Now, instead of finding peace, they're stuck comparing. Why doesn't this feel the same? Why do I still think about them when I'm with this new person? Why do I feel worse even though I should feel better? And here's where it spirals even harder. The avoidant starts to confuse their discomfort with missing you, not because they're ready to change, but because their coping mechanism, replacing you, isn't working. They thought your calm meant freedom. Now it feels like loss. They thought the rebound would distract them. Now it reminds them. And if the rebound does reach out to you later, let's be real, by then your energy has shifted so much, you're not even the same person they left. They're chasing a memory, an emotional supply you no longer offer. So now they're not just confused, they're emotionally starved. The person they replaced you with can't feed the same fire, can't play the same role, and they damn sure can't erase the guilt, the doubt, and the emotional gap that your calm exposed. That's when the spiral starts feeling real, because now they're not just panicking about you, they're panicking about themselves. Why can't I connect with anyone the same way? Did I ruin something I'll never get again? What if that was it, and I blew it? And they won't admit this. They'll still post, still perform, still pretend, but underneath. The rebound became a reminder that you were real, that what they ran from was something they may never recreate. And it all started the moment you stopped trying and went calm. The spiral ends where your peace begins. So let's make this brutally clear. Your avoidant ex isn't spiraling because you yelled. They're not unraveling because you begged. They're not haunted by some long paragraph you wrote 6 weeks ago. No, they're spiraling because you finally did the one thing they never thought you'd do. You stopped giving them your emotional energy. And in that stillness, they felt it. Every inch of your calm created a vacuum, an emotional silence so loud they couldn't distract themselves from it. The illusion of control cracked, the rebound fell flat, and now they're not sleeping peacefully at night. They're rehearsing conversations they'll never have, checking your socials from burner accounts, revisiting old messages, looking for signs of what went wrong. But what really went wrong was their inability to appreciate someone who gave everything until that someone gave nothing. You didn't walk away in anger, you walked away in truth. And that truth will echo in every connection they try to force going forward. Because once you've experienced someone who brings peace, chaos doesn't feel so powerful anymore. It feels tiring, it feels empty, it feels like regret. So here's what I want you to do right now. If you felt this episode in your chest, if it reminded you who you're becoming, if it helped you step back into your power, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next in Volume 4, and join the channel membership. Link is in the description for exclusive drops, deeper content, and a front row seat in this journey of emotional transformation. And now, here's the moment I promised. Comment the secret mantra from Key Point 4 down below. The first person to comment it gets pinned at the top, and for everyone else, type this in bold as your final reminder. My stillness speaks louder than their games. Let that be your reminder that your silence was never weakness. It was the beginning of mastery. This was Volume 4, Episode 12. And trust me, the spiral is just the start. Because in the next episode, we're not talking about their downfall. We're talking about your rise, your evolution, your return to self. Stay dangerous, stay grounded, and I'll see you in Episode 13.